next to them here in the dock. All right. It's 4 after. We'll officially call this real. Welcome to another Kubernetes SIG Security. I'm Tabitha Sable. I'm one she or they, one of the co-chairs, and I am really glad that I get to help us make this space for ourselves and each other to improve Kubernetes security together. Somebody shout yourself out.
I go next. Hi, folks. My name is Grace. Usually spend time in SIG release as release team subproject owner. Haven't been here in a while and excited to be back.
It's great to have you back.
Hey everyone, I'm Ian, Agent of Chaos / Pen Tester at Control Plane.
Welcome, welcome. Always great to see you around.
Hi, I'm Keegan. This is my second attendance to this meeting, and I work for GuidePoint Security and Cloud Native Consulting.
Great to have you back.
I am Joshua Buckner. He, him is my second one.
Welcome, welcome.
And I work for JP Morgan, focused on the security space.
Hi, I'm.
Hi.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, I am Anshuman Tripathi, joining in from Sunnyvale, San Francisco Bay Area. Come here as often as I can. Happy to be here.
Okay, I'm Alex Alton. I'm a senior infrastructure security engineer / security architect for Zora in the Bay Area also.
I always imagine the Pokemon Zorua whenever you mention the name of your day job, and I don't know if anybody else does that, but just like it always makes me think of that.
Oh, good. Yeah, my son was into Pokemon when he was younger. Now he's got a day job with Amazon, so in Austin. So I have to go travel and see him.
Great to have you back again.
Hi, I'm Ian. Pronouns they, them. I am the co-chair along with Tabby here, and I'm here to hack the planet and make friends and hack the planet with all of you, my friends.
That is how we're gonna do. So
is it hack or honk the planet?
Yes.
Both. Okay.
It's contextual. So first thing that we have here on the list is, as we do, we'll hear from what has been going on in subprojects. Ray is not able to make it today. Would anyone else like to read out on behalf of third-party audit? Otherwise, I can do so. It's fine.
I have too many tabs open, but I can read out for it. So subproject reports, third-party audit. As an intro to the third-party audit project, this subproject helps run regular third-party security audits. We meet every 2 weeks on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific. If you are not familiar with the Kubernetes third-party security audit process, there have been a couple of them and they are publicly available and they're kind of neat. First one is issue template to add to the audit roadmap has merged. There is a link to that in the agenda doc, which if everybody does not have the agenda doc, somebody who isn't talking and not able to copy and paste at the same time should post that in the Zoom chat. There is a draft email to the leads and they welcome reviews on that draft. So there is also a link to that. The email will have a date in mid-September to finalize the scope of the next audit. There is create a GitHub label for the third-party security audit and GitHub group, and also get a dedicated SRC liaison for this audit. I'm just going to assume that says Al and not AI because I have no idea why.
Action. It means it says
Action
AI.
item.
He means action item. Like I think
Okay.
these are the next things that they are planning on doing to move the audit forward.
Thank you. I was like, this seems wrong, so I'm not going to read that out loud. All right, so I'm going to change that to action items then. So create a GitHub label for the third-party security audit and GitHub group. Tabby, that's probably on us. And also get a dedicated SRC liaison for this audit. Tabby, you might have ideas about that too.
Yeah, I will talk with Ray and the audit folks about that, and then probably just say, hey y'all, who wants to be liaison for the audit in the SRC back channel? And that will probably get somebody. And if not, then we will ask more kindly and directly. Any
Abby, I forgot what
thoughts?
SRC is for a second. But if you want to share what the
Oh
acronym
gosh, yeah, sorry. The Kubernetes Security Response Committee is sort of like the private sibling of SIG Security. They handle, I'm a member of the SRC, so I'll say they handle the security release process, the intake and triage of private disclosures of new security vulnerabilities, issue CVEs for Kubernetes, that sort of thing. So things that are sensitive and need to be done in private get handled by the SRC, and we work in public.
Short version of this that I think Tabby was about to get at is one of them is inward facing and private, one of them is outward facing and public. So the SRC does the CVE advisory writing, and then we are the people who get to put it out. The SRC technically puts it out, but we get to put it out by raising awareness and talking about it in public, if that makes any sense. Tabby, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah. SRC like pushes the button on the like MITRE API that makes the CVE actually get official, but then when there are things that say have blog posts written about them, then SIG Security jumps on those. Any thoughts, questions, discussion topics on what is going on with audit?
The SIG Security Audit channel is always open on Slack for people who are in absentia and also people here to be able to talk about questions and discuss stuff.
I do not believe that's true. I think the only Slack channel for third-party audit is the private one.
Oh, okay, then I'm just wrong. Never mind, I haven't had enough coffee yet.
Regular channel SIG
Go holler on
Security is
Slack.
actually
It's
a
always
great
open.
place to bring up public questions related to third-party audit.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking and drink more coffee. I love y'all, bye.
So, next on the list is SIG Security Docs. Would anybody like to brag about what's happening in Docs?
I'm actually driving, so can somebody take the
Oh gosh,
please?
yeah. I will do my best. So, SIG Security Docs is a subproject that works across SIGs to improve the security content of Kubernetes documentation and also create and maintain standalone security documentation like blog posts, some of the concept pages under security on the Kubernetes website, things like that. So they work a lot with SIG docs and also with all of the various SIGs in order to pull in good quality security content into the website. So I am aware of a few things that are going on in SIG Security Docs right now. There is a large project to make a multi-part Kubernetes hardening guide. There is a first part that has been published, and unfortunately I do not remember off the top of my head what it is. There is currently in progress a guide for the hardening of the configuration of the scheduler, which Anshuman has been doing a lot of work on and is currently in review. And that is what I am aware of off the top is happening in SIG security docs. It is a great place to hop into. Go on.
So, a few updates there. I like on the scheduler hardening guide, as you mentioned, it's ready for review again. I incorporated some of your feedback, Tabitha, on the changes. Added some notes there. I I think it does need another pass on the phrasing at least, and I need to make sure that the information is complete. Um, there is also an application security checklist that is in review. I shall post the links in the agenda meeting and in the chat as well for reviews in a minute. So there's that. I have also created an issue yesterday, and I wanted some help on that. I created an issue to create a security checklist for applications that use the Kubernetes HTTP API. So it could be operators, applications that run queue control from containers within it, and what should be the security checklist for that? Should I created a security issue in it? Should I create a mirror issue in a website as well?
I think either one is a fine place. If you put it in KSIG security, that's sort of like registering it on our public to-do list. If you make a similar issue under K website, then it will come to the attention of folks who are paying attention to K website. So it'll be more visible to folks who are really docs focused, as opposed to folks who are really security focused. So I would say make a K website issue for it and link back to the KSIG security issue if you feel like it is ready to get some more attention and have some more docs focused people jump onto it. Like that's the timing that I would think of for making a K website issue about it, is like when I am hoping that other people will jump in.
Sorry, what was the API that you mentioned that you create the PR checklist for?
So this is just like a checklist for any application that wants to use Kubernetes API, like a Kubernetes operator, or any application that has a container that runs kube control commands, or just like client APIs and not server APIs. We can create one for server APIs as well, but I'm not too familiar with that usage, so I'm going to not speak about that a lot myself.
I think that's a really great idea, and I'm glad that you made an issue for that, because I know, like, in my day job, I've had conversations with folks about that kind of topic on a few occasions, and I imagine that other folks do too. So thanks a lot for getting that down onto the list. Like, that's our shared external memory. It's like put an issue in KSIG security.
Yep. So yeah, there's that. I will post the PRs that are pending for review on my side. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had for the security talks agenda.
Thank you so much for all of the good work that you have been doing lately. Any thoughts, questions, discussion topics related to what's going on in SIG security docs? All right. Next thing on the list is tooling subproject, and no particular updates right now from SIG Security Tooling. So they are subproject that helps to that maintains code in community with other SIGs in order to help to make Kubernetes more secure. They meet every other week on Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific, and they usually alternate between like a co-working session and a learning session where there is a presentation about some sort of community project that is Kubernetes security tooling. So things that they currently have going are making some additional improvements to the Kubernetes official CVE feed, moving that from beta into GA. And I know that there is also some work ongoing to integrate Go Vuln Check into Kubernetes CI so that it can be easier to understand when there are vulnerabilities being pulled into Kubernetes from its dependencies. Link at the top of the meeting agenda doc to the SIG Security Tooling meeting notes, and you can check that out to get some more detail about what has been going on over there. Thoughts, questions, discussion, topics related to SIG Security Tooling? Brief note about SIG Security self-assessments is a lightweight guided self-threat modeling service in SIG Security that helps parts of Kubernetes to understand their own code better and make improvements to it there by working together with them to threat model the code or project that they maintain. Previous work that they have done has included reviews of Cluster API and the vSphere CSI storage driver. And they are currently working with SIG etcd on threat modeling etcd, and that work is currently paused while we get new leadership into that. We've been talking with a couple of folks about that and always still open to additional participation there. So send a Slack message to the Slack channel, SIG Security Assessments, or to Ala Dewberry if you are interested in helping out there. Into the points that are on the agenda here. I think the most important one is last, so I will skip forward to it. New meeting time pending. There was a doodle poll went out a few weeks ago asking for folks' availability for a different time slot for the SIG meeting, and gotten some good responses to that. And so the leads are looking at those responses and coming up with a new meeting time, hopefully to get more folks to be able to come in and participate.
Several of the leads, the majority, I think, solidly at this point, have new jobs since that meeting time was created, that now have ongoing stand-up conflicts with this meeting time. Myself, frankly, included, who arguably shouldn't be here. So, yeah, I think we're trying to get it so that everybody is.
Yeah. So, having that discussion in the back channel to figure out what is going to work.
Yeah.
At this point, I want to ask folks if you have things on your mind. I copied a couple of things into the meeting agenda that were cool that had come up on Slack, but before we get that, what's on folks' mind?
Alex was halfway through a sentence when you said that.
Well,
Oh,
that.
I've forgotten now.
Oh gosh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Alex.
I, yeah, I did want to just go back to the assessments, and the ETCD, that's, I'd really like to see that get going. I myself won't free up until about November. So that's, I mean, at least to have a lot of time. I can go, short, small amounts of time, but, until then.
Yeah,
Uh,
sort of that distinction, like I can participate in a thing, but I cannot currently lead that thing.
Yeah, leading it is, I mean, from what Ala said, she said it took about 10 hours a week of her time. I know other people have said it's less, but that's what she's told me. One thing I just wanted to mention is a related group to us, the CNCF security has completed the flat car assessment, which I think is worth looking at. I listened to the talk about it, one of the talks or a couple of talks about it at the SecurityCon up in Seattle a couple of weeks ago. So that looks like it would be a valuable one to look at and incorporate any good ideas.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I will have a look in the tag security repo and grab a link to that. Drop it in the notes.
Right.
Alex, do you happen to remember which talks it was you saw? Because flat car is something that's come across my desk in the last week that I need to learn more about.
I'll have to go through my notes. Let me just see. Maybe I can find it in. Actually, had an extensive write-up for work, so I'll get back to you in a second. Let me go look it up where I saw that. Let's see. It's somewhere in my. Yeah, give me a few minutes. I'll get back to you on that.
Sorry, what is it called? Flat card?
A flat car is FLATCAR. It's a base image for running containers. It's it came out of Core OS, I think, or something.
And there we go. I grabbed the link to that assessment and dropped it into the notes.
Oh, you
doc.
did find it. Okay, yeah. Well, let me see which talk. I have to find which talk it was. It might have been one of the keynotes that I was just listening. Yeah, I think it was a keynote actually that had it. That's where I heard about it. And oh, that's interesting. I don't have it explicitly in my notes. Okay, I think it was one of the keynotes I was listening to it. They were talking about it. I forgot which keynote it was. Yeah.
No worries, thank you.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't have it in my notes. Might be in my written notes, my handwritten notes. Interesting. Yeah, I'd have to go back. Yeah, apparently they just finished that up, so just in the last sometime in the last 6 months or 3 months. So
One thing here that came up in Slack that I thought was pretty interesting is this issue that somebody opened in KK suggesting that Kubernetes adopt the automation for the OpenSSF scorecard. If you that issue is linked in the meeting notes. If you scroll that issue, you will find a link to a past copy of the same essential issue and the discussion that happened there, wherein we declined to adopt the GitHub action to automate the maintenance of the OpenSSF scorecard for Kubernetes for various reasons that mostly come down to Prow is a large and complicated system that is designed for our needs and is not really amenable to throwing a GitHub action down on top of and having everything work out. But if you are interested in that kind of discussion between release, SIG Arch, and various parties, link in there to the issue so that you can see what is going on. And if you have thoughts there, you can add them.
I'll try to drop a link into which talk, or not talk, but which keynote I had heard about that, but I have to go back and dig through my notes. Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention about SecurityCon, the biggest track was a track that was really dealing with things like SBOM and VEX, and but was some very interesting talks in those areas. You know, where SBOM, SBOM, and VEX is VEX. But anyway, there's a lot of shift left work being done. I guess it's a real challenge because there's a lot of false positives when you're trying to build code and then you're running an SBOM against it, or a VEX. VEX is more dynamic, where you have to do some dynamic building of VEX, about the behavior of the container. So it was really very interesting. I didn't realize what was going on in that area, but that was a big chunk of the conference, a big kind of focus of the conference.
I'm glad that people are still talking about that, because there is a really interesting sort of core challenge in the existence of SBOM, which is that by having an SBOM, you are giving the impression that it is both complete and accurate, but the majority of SBOM documents that are available are created by running a tool that sort of takes apart a container image or a binary or some other kind of object, takes it apart, sniffs it to see what it thinks is inside, and then writes an SBOM up for it. And so,
right.
Therefore, like, the promise of SBOMs and whether they can actually solve the problems that you want depend a lot on the accuracy and completeness of them. Like,
right.
For example, if you had SBOMs on file in a database for every piece of software that you run, and they were complete and accurate, then certain kinds of vulnerability management triage would be very, very easy. Like, oh, there is a critical vulnerability in libfoo. Show me every single machine that has libfoo anywhere on it.
Right.
Well, that's just a query against the SBOM database. Done.
Right.
If the SBOM database is both complete and accurate.
Well,
Ian and Sig Honk had a fun talk about this a couple of KubeCons ago with, making minor tweaks to their build process in order to fool the output of those sorts of sniff test SBOM tools.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot of it, a couple of thoughts on that. One is, I was in shock that some of the vendors that do SEA, the source code analysis, they depend on the honesty of things like SBOM or just in general the information, the metadata embedded in a lot of these images. And if those are inaccurate, then they can't tell. They do everything kind of locally. It was interesting. I thought they would go back to their own databases in real time and double check hashes and things like that. And they don't. I was kind of in shock when I heard about that. There's a lot of, there's, yeah, it's, what's the term for it? I guess you're depending on the honesty of folks who build these images and the metadata that goes with them. The other, yeah, and then Vex is interesting because there's like 2 or 3 standards out there for the document format of Vex, and now there was something Protobomb, I think, is now an effort that's trying to come together to bring at least a couple of them together. And,
Yeah, to like take that information and encode it into a protobuf and like have a standardized, this is the protobuf that we use to represent this data. That's what's
Right.
happening there, right?
It's being driven by the U.S. government, I believe. So,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, it's some interesting things in there going on. So anyway, that was the supply chains, containers, and app security track. So, there's some other good ones too, like observability and things like that. So yeah, it was a good conference. Small.
Thank
I
you.
mean, it was hard to, I mean, not hard, but I mean, it was not very many people. About 700 people, I think, went to it. But usually a big conference, I kind of say, okay, I can pick and choose, but then you're dealing with, oh, there's 2 good ones side by side. I can't go to. Didn't have that problem that much in this conference. So.
I love a moderate sized conference like that. Large enough that there are people there that you want to talk to, but not so huge that it's like navigating a temporary city.
Right. Yeah. Like Salt Lake City coming up. Oh, yeah. Um, by the way, anybody going to DEF CON next month? Or Black Hat for that matter?
PSA to whoever is planning on going to DEF CON, on the off chance that you haven't noticed this, COVID rates are sky high right now. We are currently going through a very large COVID wave. So like, please be careful out there, because every year when the numbers are not this bad, everybody gets COVID at DEF CON. So please be safe out there if you go.
Oh, geez. I'm driving
Shout
out
out to
there.
B-Sides Las Vegas for having a mandatory masking policy,
Oh,
which is a fabulous contrast to the DEF CON like purposeful lack of having a masking policy. I'm busy that week, or I would have been pretty excited about showing up for B-Sides anyway.
If anybody else is in the area, which I don't think anybody is, but if anybody is or happens to be watching this on YouTube before it happens, I'm going to be keynoting DevOps Days MSP that week. So that will be live streamed for the people who can't be there, and for the people who can be there, come hang out.
It's gonna be so good, for real. Check it out. Is the stream free, or is there a like virtual ticket?
Is this part of DEF CON or?
No,
it just happens to be the same week.
It's the same week, so this is why I'm not going to that. Because
this is also why I'm not going to that.
It's local to us in Minneapolis. It is our local DevOps Days. For people who are not familiar with DevOps Days, it is technically, I guess, Cloud Native Rejects is Cloud Native B-Sides, but basically it has a sort of similar structure to B-Sides. It's very regional, it's smaller, it's community oriented. There's probably one near you, and they're really nice.
Okay.
Do you remember offhand what the dates are? I think it's the 6th and 7th.
It is, in fact, the 6th and 7th. It's that Tuesday and Wednesday.
Wednesday. I think DEF CON is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something like that.
Do you put your feet up on the bed in your room at the Flamingo and watch the DevOps Days MSP stream with your friends?
Technically, I think it conflicts with Black Hat. Yeah, I think DEF CON is usually a little later in the week.
Yeah, I think that's the second half, the back half of the week. B-Sides is sort of coexisting with part of Black Hat. Yeah. Yeah, DEF CON I think is it Thursday, Friday? I don't know, something.
Yeah, it usually starts Thursday-ish, actually officially starts on Friday and then goes to the weekend, I think. But yeah, for people who are choosing to go, be careful out there. We want you here.
Yeah.
I'm driving, so at least I avoid the airplanes.
Yeah.
It's about a 9-hour drive for me.
Any further thoughts, questions, discussion topics around the summer security conference season?
hope it's not going to be too hot.
Fair. Link here that I dropped into the notes to a very old KK issue from 2021, pointing out that pod probes can go anywhere you want them to, including if you put the right address, you can get to localhost on the node. And this has been an issue that folks have been discussing for a few years, and it was recently brought back up because someone is doing work to add pod security admission features to block having .host in the probes. So that way, if they merge this, then under the more restrictive pod security admission settings, you can't put quite as much awful stuff into your probes. What's up, Anshuman?
Oh, I could not find my unmute button. Okay. Coming from a very noob standpoint, could someone explain, maybe not in too much detail, what are the security implications of this?
I can take a crack at it, but I want to give other folks a chance to do so first.
I was about to say the same. So my understanding of it was you can get the kubelet on a node to make an HTTP request to an endpoint that may not be accessible to the pod once it's up and running. So if you could create a pod, you could create a liveness probe that's basically a request that the kubelet makes to find out if a container is still running. But you were able to specify the exact host you wanted to hit with this. So you could use this to do things like talk to cloud metadata services or to talk to a local host service that you're not meant to be able to hit as a user of a cluster who is creating a pod. I think you could also do raw TCP, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Okay.
I also think, but I'm not sure you can do raw TCP.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Thanks for dumbing it down for me. Thank you.
We're just trying to synthesize it for you. Like basically there's a lot of circumstances where you are offering like engineers access to manage workloads on Kubernetes, but where you don't, for example, expect them to be able to do cloud provider access, or where you may have services that you believe are not available to them because of the way that you have your networking configured. And there is a whole host of surprises lurking in the ability to put whatever you want as the destination of liveness probes that could make it so that some of those things that you think are true are not true.
Yeah, so one of the big examples is in the cloud. It's quite common, at least in AWS, to set a hop limit on the metadata service so that only your nodes directly are able to talk to that service. The pods can't. But because this liveness probe is coming from the kubelets, it kind of gets around that issue. I'm going to have to go and read this KEP now.
Yeah,
Well, and
this
like-
makes sense. Now I can read more on it and actually understand what they're saying.
Well, and like historically, there were some really scary things related to the metadata service on cloud providers, like like historically on certain cloud providers, if a request was coming from an IP that was the primary IP of a VM, it was implicitly authorized with the identity of that VM, whether there were any credentials passed along with it or not. And so there was a hot minute there where like every SSRF vulnerability in every web application could be almost immediately escalated to cloud provider access because you would just redirect it to 169.254, 169.254, and ta-da, you can do whatever that cloud provider account is allowed to do. There have been a fair amount of improvements on the various cloud providers that make those things less like shooting fish in a barrel than they were maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But there's still some scary things in there, and it's still pretty common to see the old behavior, the old more dangerous behavior, like turned on as a backwards compatibility thing or whatever.
It's really difficult to overstate how wild some of the very old line Kubernetes vulnerabilities were. We've really made a lot of improvements over time, like a lot. Which is pretty cool. I think we should all feel good about that.
Any further thoughts, questions, discussion topics related to doing terrible things using pod liveness probes, or the work that SIG Auth folks are doing to make it harder to do so? Well, that is everything that is currently written down on the agenda. So, as is tradition, I will remind us that this is a place that we make for ourselves and for each other, carved out in space and time. And so, if there is anything that anybody would like to bring up with the group while we are all here, now is the chance for that.
I believe the tradition is that you say the thing about the Go program and I say that Slack is open 24/7. So
that's after this.
Slack is open 24/7 if there are things that you can think of that you want to talk about or bring up or discuss, not during the meeting times. And also Tabby has a thing that she says, but only if nobody else wants to say anything, because we do have a couple minutes left.
I'm terrible at reading the Slack. I need to put more time into doing that.
I mean, I get it. We all have a lot of Slack messages during our day jobs all the time.
That and text messages on my cell phone.
Yo.
It's like, shoot me.
Well,
I miss the days of dial-up.
now I want a telnet console that's got a 10-digit rotary dial for entering the destination IP address.
Oh,
Isn't that
God.
just like the TN3270 emulator? Sorry.
Sorry, I don't speak Ebsidic.
Oh,
Expecting
God.
ASCII.
Oh, God.
All right. Like a Go program that has fallen off of the end of its main function, we are about to return, but we will call our pre-exit hook. Last chance if you want to bring anything up while we're all here.
I just want to point out what just got pasted into the chat, which was actually specifically the as a user, I would like a rotary dial. So there's an app for that, and it is posted in the chat. So for whoever's user story that was, there you go. I hope y'all have a wonderful couple weeks. Thank you all so much. And yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Bye all.